In the last 6 months, we have been consistent with respect to ensuring that our solutions and our approach are evidence-based, and that we are also connecting more with the people so that people realize that the environment issue is not just about government.
On our interview segment, we caught up with the Honorable Minister of State for Environment, Dr. Iziaq Salako.
Alright, if you just joined us, you're watching Environment Today on Africa Independent Television, and this is a program where we x-ray environmental and public health issues that confront humans daily, and we also seek experts' opinion on how best to address them. On today's program, we have a wonderful guest on the show who happens to be the Minister of State for Environment, Dr. Iziaq Salako. He joins us now. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Nigerians.
I guess in order to say Happy New Year, we'll see you for the first time.
Yeah, and we can also say congratulations to Nigeria, congratulations to the Super Eagles for doing Nigeria very proud at the AFCON.
Great. All right, so let's talk environment now. I remember when you assumed office as the Minister of State for Environment, you did speak with the media and you made salient points then. You said you were going to bring about research-based solutions that would engender positive change in the environment sector and also bring about a greener environment for future generations. 6 months down the line, how would you say the environment sector has fared under your watch as the Minister of State for Environment?
Well, I think that in the last 6 months, we have been consistent with respect to ensuring that our solutions and our approach are evidence-based, and that we are also connecting more with the people so that people realize that the environment issue is not just about government, it is also about them. And I think that by and large, if you look at what we're doing, you see that that is happening. Last year, as an example, we launched a report, which is an outcome of a survey that we carried out across the 36 states at the FCT to be able to properly situate the level of knowledge and awareness with respect to climate change issues at the subnational levels. And that report is going to help us in the kind of things that we'll be doing going forward. We're doing a policy on clean cook gas, and that is also a result of our research. And going forward, we're also collaborating more with the academia. The Forest Research Institute, which is based in Ibadan, is also being properly strengthened to ensure that there is also contribute to some of the policy directions that the federal government through the Environment Ministry is doing.
All right. I remember that you were quoted once in one of the fora you have attended to have said that Nigeria is among the 10 top countries in the world that are actively addressing the impact of climate change. But since the conclusion of COP28 in Dubai, with all the brouhaha that thrilled outing at that event, and the agreement by parties to transition away from fossil fuel. By the way, fossil fuel, of course, is the mainstay of Nigeria's economy. Let's look at what specific steps the country has taken since December, to achieve this transition away from oil, and also not forgetting, how the impact will be on the environment.
Well, I can tell you that even before December, Nigeria has positioned itself to transition away from fossil fuel. You recall that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on assumption of office, identified key presidential priorities and also created some ministries. And those ministries are to emphasize some of the priorities of government. For example, we created the Ministry of Mining, which is basically to situate Nigeria better in the mining sector and to ensure Nigeria is able to harness the natural resources through mining. I also changed the name of the Minister of Agriculture to Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, and also situated that agriculture is going to be a major driver of the Nigerian economy. He created the Ministry of ICT and Innovation, which is also to demonstrate the level of importance that the government is going to give. So these are areas that can actually replace fossil fuel and our dependence on oil. Since December, especially at the Ministry of Environment, we have continued to engage some of our international partners. For example, there's an organization called Beyond Oil and Gas Alliance, which is being led by some European countries, and the Federal Ministry of Environment is talking closely and even making moves to be part of that alliance so that we can learn best practices on how to transit from full dependence on oil and gas. So I think that we're moving well in that direction. As with respect to protecting the environment, our agencies like NOSRA, like NESRA, continue to do their duties to ensure that all the regulations and all the enforcement in the environmental sector is done.
Now, so many things are still happening in the Niger Delta region, for instance, such as gas flaring, which is one of the major problems to the environment, where carbon is released onto the atmosphere. And the government has set different targets to deal with this. Are you looking in this direction as to how this can be achieved this time before your tenure elapses as the Minister of State for Environment?
Well, Nigeria has set a deadline for gas flaring, which is for 2030. But if you look at the Oil Spill Response Agency, which is an agency of the Federal Ministry of Environment, they work closely with the operators in the petroleum sector to ensure that we're able to gradually over time end the issue of gas flaring. We've also looked at the kind of things that the federal government is doing, for example, the kind of partnership we're entering into, ensuring that we're able to pipe our gas into Europe through Morocco. That is also a movement in the direction of trying to end gas flaring. So I believe that we're working and we're moving steadily to ensure that at the end of the day, because for us in the Federal Ministry of Environment, we don't want to see gas flaring, because when you flare gas, apart from the fact that you are wasting resources, you're also polluting the environment. So we're going to be working with the Ministry of Petroleum Resources and other agencies of government to ensure that that deadline is met.
The environment sector is quite huge. We move from carbon emission, we go into charcoal, deforestation, and logging, and these are some of the issues that the country has been battling with over the years. Well, recently the government lifted the ban on charcoal, and could you share with us reasons why government decided to do this, in addition to what people are saying about how it can also increase the activities of loggers and deforestation as well?
Well, basically what was lifted is actually what I'll call, it was a conditional lifting of ban on export of processed wood and charcoal. You recall that the former government at the time banned the export of charcoal and processed wood, and after a while, the former administration also lifted the ban, which we inherited. And I think the reason behind it is basically because we found out that when the ban was in operation, what was done is that we now drove the operators into the underground, and there was a lot of smuggling going on, a lot of undercutting was going on, and you know that when that is happening, the government is losing a lot of resources. We post a ban, we're not able to effectively ensure that that ban is properly implemented, and there was a lot of underground work going on, and then we felt that in conjunction with the subnationals who are also losing a lot of revenue from that, we felt that, okay, it is better to do a conditional lifting of ban so that we can have these people to engage, to talk to, and we can monitor their activities. Again, it is also important that if you do a ban, the responsibility of the Federal Ministry of Environment through the Department of Forestry and NESRA is to monitor and to ensure that because forests is an asset. And if you now ban the use of those assets, first, what we are doing at the end of the day is that you are reducing our capacity as a ministry to do our duties in monitoring. And you're also ensuring that at the end of the day, we're losing resources. So when we looked at all of this together, it was decided that there's a need for us to do a conditional lifting of that ban, and then we can then continuously engage the operators. We can ensure that we monitor them and ensure that Nigeria also harness some resources and some revenue from the forest resources that we have. So that is what is going on.
Now, when forests are, we're talking about saving our forest cover and beefing it up really to be able to serve as carbon sink at a time when everybody is talking about carbon credits and all that. You don't think this ban will affect the plans of the federal government in achieving this?
No, I think the thing is a balance. What is important is that first is a regulated logging process that we have ensured, so that as you cut down the trees, you also plant. So that is important to ensure that we regulate, because if you just leave the trees too, and without tapping into the resources that have been provided for us as a natural resource to grow our economy, to expand our economic base, then we may also be shooting ourselves in the foot. So it is, you see, the truth about it is that generally everything is about moderation. You cannot leave the forest to grow wild, unmaintained, unharnessed, and then you cannot also allow over exploitation of the forest. So us as a ministry is to ensure that we create a balance of proper exploitation that does not unnecessarily deplete those resources and does not also allow the resources to become wild and grow anyhow. So we must budget it, and that is what we're doing.
Our guest has been the Honorable Minister of State for Environment, Dr. Iziaq Salako, and he is speaking with us on a number of issues regarding how the environment sector will be projected for the better. Thank you so much once again.